All right, thanks so much. Got a small group here, but we do have a lot of students that work during the day. It's a little bit of an awkward time. But we would like to thank you, Matt Schmotzer, for coming, owner of Print My Ride, or do you call it Print My Ride Detroit? Is that kind
Print
of
My
the
Ride
full?
Detroit, yeah, is the full name, but you can call me Print My Ride.
Print My Ride, yeah. He has got some awesome work, and we're very thankful for him to be here to share it with us. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we've got some Q&A for you, and we can let any students on, ask them questions at the end. So think about your questions. But Matt has got some stuff he can show us and give us a little introduction to the type of work he does. I see looks like you're in an active lab space there of some sort, home lab maybe.
I'm actually at home today, so this is kind of like my office with all the. I'm sure you can see there's just massive amounts of coaster models up there. So this is where I do all my designing, and this is where my computer is. So yes, you can call
Perfect.
it a
Well,
lab of sorts.
yeah, workshop, something, scientist workshop or something. Yeah. So I'll let you take off, and then I'm going to have to leave here shortly, but Jason is prepped to go with some questions for you as well to keep things interesting. Professor Guy from our themed entertainment design program. So we are, just for those kind of coming across this recording, we're the Purdue themed entertainment design program in Indianapolis, Indiana. We have a bachelor's, a minor degree, and also a certificate program. And so if you haven't heard of us before, we'd love you to check us out at PurdueThemedEntertainment.com. But yeah, we'll bring Matt. The floor is yours. Thanks so much again.
All right, really quick before I do start, how much time do I have before like we get like the hook? Like I think I got like a 15 to 20 minute presentation, if that's okay.
Yeah, even
And
if you
then
went a half hour, I mean, we could ask questions for another 20 minutes after that. So we really
all
just
right.
try to wrap up by 2:30. We got a
Oh
late
yeah,
start, but yeah, I think we're good.
sweet. Let me do this. So I'm going to share my screen and then make sure I have this set up right. I'll do that. Go to present and then duplicate. Um, uh,
I
which
can
screen am
see
I on?
I can see a white slide with your
Oh,
contact info.
yeah. Let me do one thing. I just want to make sure I don't see the Zoom thing here. All right, how does it look now? Are we looking good?
Same. I'm seeing this your name
Like the
and your Instagram info and
cool. Then let me dive right into it, and then if there's any technical issues, just let me know.
yeah.
So yeah, thank you. My name is Matt Schmotzer. I own Print My Ride Detroit. I do theme park, amusement park, models, design work, and fabrication. You can follow me mostly on Instagram, which you can hit the follow button. That's where I post the most. That's where I'm on the most. I'd like to do more YouTube in the future. It's just really hard with working a full time job, doing this as a hobby, and just life being in the way. So, a little bit about me. Currently, I work at General Motors in the design studio. So, specifically, I work on the GMC and Chevy vehicle programs as a studio designing integration engineer, specifically on exterior lighting. So, I work on like headlamps, tail lamps, small lamps, any type of lighting around the outside of the vehicle. This image on the bottom left is the only image of the design studio that I can find that's publicly available online, since everything we work on is usually top secret, confidential, and does not leave this building for at least 4 to 6 years. If it does, lots of the programs kind of just cycle through as the creative design folks, churn through different concept vehicles and whatnot. So I am, as an engineer, I'm kind of like the liaison between engineering and the design studio, and I try to make the creative design folks' themes actually manufacturable. So that's my role there. So that's what I do professionally. But as far as hobbies go, I'm really into 3D printing, laser cutting, CNC milling, and roller coasters. Ta-da! Obviously. So which will dive exactly right into how I turned my hobby into a side business, which is really exciting. My education, which is also probably why I'm here, is I got my bachelor's and my master's degree at Purdue. I got a minor in CGT, computer graphics technology, which I think is kind of like a subset of where you guys are. And when I did that minor, it was all CATIA. It was like straight up everything was CATIA. And I got really, really good at using CATIA, and I loved the crap out of it. Other education, I got a basic welding certificate because I figured, it might be smart thing to know how to weld on the side. And then I got the additive manufacturing for innovation design and production MIT X Pro certification, which is a lot of just word vomit of 3D printing and how to make money and make it economical, profitable, etc. So on the right, you can actually see me. My parents actually went to Purdue. This is in West Lafayette. This is like a 5-year-old me staying by the fountain. And then there's me again when I graduated. So that's kind of a lot of fun to always just kind of be around Purdue, and why it feels really special for me to come here and talk to you folks. So where did it all begin? 2008, 2009. I was doing a lot of just like model roller coasters with like hot glue guns and balsa wood and just kind of like scrappy materials, cutting like PVC pipes together. And I had like this dream of like, okay, this will work. But as like a teenager, it's just like wasn't really happening. And I kind of would always fizzle out before it actually would, come to fruition. And I kind of like to quote like, the Iron Man image of Tony Stark's dad, where it's like I'm limited by the technology of my time, meaning like when I was doing this, there wasn't like 3D printers and all this stuff easily accessible, especially for like a young person like myself. If you were to do that, it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's like way out of reach. But come to 2015, there was this guy. I guess that's me. Here we go. I made it a little bit better for you guys. So there's me. That was 10 years ago. I got a MakerBot Replicator 2, and that is really what opened the doors into 3D printing roller coaster models. And in that time period, I set out as just a hobby, just something fun to do. I decided to make a working model roller coaster, and I picked a Vertigo from Kings Island. The reason I picked this model is because it's very compact, it's small, I can scale it appropriately, and I thought it would be pretty easy. Except the funny part was it wasn't so easy. It was mostly challenging with the dual lift hills. So on the left, you can see the model that was designed in No Limits Coaster Simulator. And what I was able to do is just kind of, you know, just brute force a way to take the data from No Limits and bring it into SolidWorks. So on the right, you see actually the rendering in SolidWorks of the final model once it was designed. How that process worked is in No Limits, you can export the XYZ data of the spine, the rails, and get the unit vectors of the orientation of the coaster throughout the track. So the process was, just designing it, exporting the data, and then bringing it into SolidWorks. And that's exactly what I did. So all of this data came in as splines, and then from there you start design. So this is the center line, and then on the right you can see the center line with the rails. And what I did is I just made a surface and just started patterning everything. And that is what gave me the design to then go and eventually fabricate this model. So here's a video. I'll stop talking, but you can actually see it run. Hopefully it goes through.
That's awesome.
And so, okay, hopefully that video went through, but essentially this was a fully functioning model roller coaster of a Vertigo that would do a full cycle. The restraints opened, the gates opened. It was all controlled by an actual control box that tried to look as close, to the real ride as possible. Everything was 3D printed. The control logic was all just an Arduino, and then a lot of DC motors, servo motors, and sensors. So from this project, I got a lot of industry attention. And at the time that I did this model, Cedar Point was coming out with Steel Vengeance. And this is around like 2017 timeframe. And they asked me to do a model of their new ride. So without any hesitation, I said, absolutely, I want to do this. And so I started designing, based off the real ride CAD data, a scaled down model of Steel Vengeance. And on the left, you can see a rendering of the model in SolidWorks, and on the right is kind of a top down view of the layout. This model was huge. It was about 22 feet long, 17 feet wide, and 8 feet tall off the ground. And just being massive. When we were talking to the park, I was like, we need to be bigger if you wanted to like actually be like a working model. But we had to scale it down, and there was a bunch of issues that we later ran into. But this was the completed model, and there's me actually gluing some of the last little track bits on the lift hill, just to give you a proportion of like how massive this is. And I'm 6'3", so this was the model at Cedar Point, and it was just an immense amount of work. We literally took the entire layout, put them on a CNC machines. You can actually see we laser etched the location of every footer, so it was accurate to the real ride. Glued down all the footers on tables, so it was precise. And then the bents were balsa wood, and you can think of it this way: any part that was wood on the real ride was balsa wood. Any part that was steel was 3D printed. So every single ledger was uniquely identified, 3D printed, and then binned. And I think I'm trying to remember, this was years ago, but there was over 380 bents, and each bent could have up to 8 to 10 different 3D printed parts that were unique to that bent. So as far as like unique 3D printed components, there was thousands. And this was really just a test of organization, just to 3D print everything and keep it organized. Here's some videos of just the amount of work it takes just to make one bent. That's me gluing one bent on the left, and then my wife would help me on the right. She would kind of put the bents in place and then glue the ribbons in. So this is obviously sped up. I forgot the exact speed up. Maybe it's like 2 or 3 or 4 times, but just one bent could take up to a full hour to glue on some of the taller portions of the ride. So just to put in perspective, I think we spent over a year and a half just kind of slugging away at this thing, just trying to, get it completed. But on the bottom right here, you can see the entire model and its pristine glory in the Town Hall Museum at Cedar Point. So that was just immensely fun. We also put lights on it, so at night it would glow, just to give it more of that character like the real ride. And looking at the model versus looking at the real ride, it just looked amazing. And there's just another picture of me while I was, constructing it, just showing just how massive it was. Here's another fun picture of me at 2 a.m, just trying to figure out what parts go where, as I had to take the lift hill off and kind of weasel my way around all of the spaghetti of the ride as it goes in and out of itself. So just a lot of fun pictures. One of the other funny things was on the back of the museum, there's a garage door, and I thought we would just, simply put it through the garage door and we're good to go, because the table is about 8 feet wide, I believe, and that would fit through a normal door. The problem was the Cedar Point actually has a wall built right behind that garage door, so we weren't able to use that. That was not known to me. So we had to fit it through that front door, and as you can see, here's Tony Clark from Cedar Point and myself and a few others just in disbelief on how we're going to fit this giant table through that little door. But we did do it. That was the best part, and there it is. So every challenge as an engineer, you got to be able to problem solve, and that was a fun one. So I'll leave it to your imagination on how we got it through that door. But coming from that project, being able to make a model at Cedar Point, a lot of people caught wind of what I was doing. One of those companies was Coaster Dynamics. That's founded by Jack Reimer, and he's in Virginia. And he actually reached out to me and was like, hey, would you want to do some freelance design work for me? Because it looks like you work in SolidWorks. We also work in SolidWorks, and we have a bunch of projects coming up. So can you help us out? So I was like, absolutely. So at that point, I hooked up with the Coaster Dynamics team. And from there to this day, I've been working with them on a bunch of different projects that I'm about to talk to you. So there's me being super excited. There's Dan Linden. He's one of the engineers at Coaster Dynamics. And there's Jack right there in the back. And we were hanging out at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So the first thing they did is reached out and said, hey, we have 16 or I guess 14 different nano coasters that need to be designed for the holidays. Can you do it? And at the time, I was going on winter break, so I was like, yeah, I can take a stab at it. So these were the first 10 nano coasters that I did for them. I I've lost count, but I think Coaster Dynamics has over, I want to say 180 to 200 nano coasters now. And of those 180 to 200, I've done about half of them. Because once they got their hands on me as a designer, they went ham and just started busting these out like crazy. So these are the first 14 that I did. And really that kind of got my foot in the door of, how merchandise in the amusement park industry was designed, how they got it out, how they got it packaged, how they got it, kind of into different parks and what the park was really looking for. And it was awesome. So I have like a kind of fun questionnaire, and I don't know how easy it is on this meeting to do a poll, but I'll give you a second here. So like I said, I did half the nanos, and what the Coaster Dynamics team found out is, wow, Matt's pretty good at this. Let's give him specific ones we don't want to do. So in this pop quiz, it was, which nano did I design? Is it A, the Dueling Dragons, or B, I think this is the Intamin launched from Dorney Park? And you'd be correct if you said A. So they gave me all the hard ones. So let's do another test. So Olympia Looping or Montezuma's Revenge. You'd be correct if you said A. So just playing a little fun at it. I just think it's hilarious that I was like, I always get these hard ones. Can I get the really easy ones? No, they'll do those. So the most challenging nano to date that I've designed, does anyone have any idea? I'll give you a second to think about your answer. I don't know how easy it is for me to hear. But if you have an idea, it was Smiler at Alton Towers, because it crosses over itself like 18 times or something. I actually don't know the number. I forgot. But that one was crazy because the ride just twists all over itself. And the issue is when you design it is it's got to all drop in vertically on top of itself. So there was a lot of part breakups, and that was the most challenging one to date. So I like talking about it because it's just it's a ball of spaghetti. So while working with Coaster Dynamics, I also got to do a lot of speaking events. Obviously, I do a lot of SolidWorks work, and I'm very proud to say, like, I use SolidWorks every day as far as the 3D models go. So when they caught wind, they asked me to come to SolidWorks World, which is now called 3D Experience World, and they travel around the U.S. Sometimes it's in Texas or Tennessee or wherever it is that year. But they asked me to come and talk about SolidWorks and what I was working on. I was like, well, I'm kind of doing like a model of Batman right now. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Like, can we bring it here to SolidWorks World? And I was like, well, it's not really built yet. I designed it and I've 3D printed, but it's sitting in parts and boxes. And they said, nope, just come to the shop floor and build it, on the showroom floor with us. So I literally went to SolidWorks World and started putting together a model, a 3D printed model at SolidWorks World in 2019. Coming from there, I also was doing these larger scale ride vehicles. So this is the Raptor model I did, and it is a 1/12 scale model, and I tried to get as much detail packed into the ride vehicle as possible. So this is all 3D printed. The first car was all printed on a Formlabs 2 printer. So Formlabs is an SLA resin-based printer, and the results came out just phenomenal because there was almost zero post-processing of the model when it came off the printer. So I was doing this coupled with the Coaster Dynamics stuff and just doing really anything coaster related that was just interesting to me. Alongside the Raptor model, I also did one for Orion because at the time of me doing this, Orion was the big new ride at Kings Island, and I made a 1/12 scale model of that ride, also on a Formlabs machine. So that's also resin print. You can see kind of a dark image, but this is the actual model just sitting on my desk, just showing how amazingly clean you can get and how much detail you can really pack into the model. So when I did these, I got a lot of interest from Formlabs because I kept on saying, like, yeah, these are printed on Formlabs machines, and they found out and said, hey, can you become a Formlabs ambassador and help people learn how SLA resin prints can be utilized in the prototyping space? And I was like, absolutely, sure. I had a Form 2 and a Form 3 at the time, and I became a Formlabs ambassador. They shipped me out to Boston for their user summit, and I got to go and hang out with the major players that use the Formlabs machines, and it was a lot of fun. And to this day, I'm an ambassador, so if you have questions about Formlabs machines and how they operate and what they can do for you, you can always reach out and let me know. It was a lot of fun. There's a video of here me just assembling one of their radios So we'll skip that for now. But it was a lot of fun just being kind of soaked into the SolidWorks universe and then also the Formlabs atmosphere. And speaking of SolidWorks, I got to go back to the first 3D Experience World. So that's the newly revamped SolidWorks World. And at 3D Experience World 2020, not only did I have an exhibit for the Raptor model seen down here in the bottom right, Formlabs asked me to bring the Orion train that I had. That was also the front train was printed on a Form 2. So I had two exhibits, one specifically for like, hey, this is designed in SolidWorks. And then in Formlabs, I had like, not only is it designed in SolidWorks, but we 3D printed this using Formlabs machines. So it was a lot of fun that I got to have two exhibits in Nashville for one event. And that was a lot of fun. So it was an amazing experience. But one of the major questions is, now when I go to this trade show, right, it's for CAD designers and prototypers, right? And I see this roller coaster model, and the big comment was like, would you ever like sell these? Like, would you have like a product that's like a roller coaster train and sell it? And I was like, well, no. This model probably just cost me like $400 in just raw material, just resin and fasteners itself. Like, I would have to price, and then that's not even including design time and like my time designing. I don't even know what to charge for that. I was like, this would probably be like $600, $700. Like, no one's going to buy that. So I went back and I was thinking, well, it'd be kind of cool if we could have a product that's a roller coaster train that I could sell. So what I do is I bought a CO2 laser cutter, because the guy at the next booth said, well, why don't you just make it out of wood and laser cut the parts, because that's cheaper than 3D printing and it's faster. So I went to Facebook Marketplace, found a old full spectrum laser that didn't work, bought it for dirt cheap. I literally had to rewire the whole thing, bought a new tube, got a new chiller. It was literally a Frankenstein laser, and then we got to work making coaster cutouts. Coaster cutouts were like the big new thing, at least for me, because it was a personal project that later went from definitely a hobby to a literal, side business and product that is now in major amusement parks around the world, really. So this is a video of actually me speed running a design of the Steel Vengeance ride vehicle. That's a coaster cutout. And then coaster cutouts are just planar sheets of wood on 1/8-inch Baltic birch that you can punch out the pieces and then snap together and assemble a little miniature model of the ride vehicle. So this kind of just shows the design process and me kind of going through the first design. The first ones didn't have snap together tabs. I actually sold them on Etsy first just to get an idea. It's kind of like, the minimum viable product. Get something out there, have people test it. And when I did that, Jack at Coaster Dynamics said, like, I want to sell these, but you gotta get rid of the glue. I don't want to have glue anywhere on these. So the idea was to then find a way to eliminate glue. We developed these tabs, which you can see here. This is me just prototyping different tab geometries to see like which tab worked, which one didn't, which one sticks the best. And from there, we were able to develop the coaster cutout product, which is what you see here. This is the first prototype of the Steel Vengeance one. And really, it went from just prototyping to simulating how we're going to put it together. And then we got into different parks, like all the Cedar Fair parks, Busch Gardens, SeaWorld. This just kind of just shows the progression of the design right here. We also did a lot of evolution on like how we display these. Like, so these are ride vehicles, right? And a lot of questions were like, how do you display it? And, we started with just a display stand that we could just carry across the entire platform, right? And then we slowly made it more unique to the ride and found different ways to really, customize and make all of these unique. So these are just some examples of the original coaster cutouts. And here's, for example, Diamondback versus the real ride. We try to capture as much detail as possible, which gets really hard when you try to, capture a lot of 3D detail into 2D planar objects. And obviously, so Orion, I already had a design that was 3D printable. So we took the vision of 3D printing and brought it into laser cutting to get the cost down, to get it out there. Instead of having it be a $300 model, it is now a $30 model, and we can mass produce these. And then from there, we have like the individual front car. Well, let's do the whole train. So Cedar Point was the first park to ask for the full train on a display track. So we kind of followed what the customer wanted, and then we designed the product around that. And here you can see the two full trains that we did for the park, and they were awesome. So with that, it was a launch of kind of like my own product, right? That I actually was like, I like to think as my baby. It's like, what does 1 year of grinding, of manufacturing, designing, and just, working with the parks to get all these out? Well, we had, I think, like 60 of these go out in a year and a half. And this is just a eye chart of all of them. So on the left is all the individual ride vehicles, and on the right is all the trains, or in Cedar Point's case, the lift hill, all the special ones. So everyone needed to be designed by itself, uniquely, except unless some ride vehicles are a same manufacturer, so we were able to copy a lot over. But this is literally the first year and a half of what was it, back like 2020-ish time frame, 2021, of what we were able to do and just get to so many parks. And was it rewarding? Absolutely. Like here at Kings Island, they wanted a special Eiffel Tower, and we were able to color it. So that was kind of the next thing. The parks were on, like, can we color these? Well, yeah. We even got a Millennium Force lift hill, and that one was painted and then laser cutted. So you kind of have to follow what the customer wants, and then they'll tell you how to take your product and make it better. And that's exactly what we did. Getting full trains, getting very unique with how they're displayed. This is for Six Flags. They wanted the full train at it's a drop ride or a B&M dive. So we got it just kind of hanging over the crest of the hill. This is X2. X2 is also a lot of fun. If you don't know a lot about the ride, the seats rotate. So we put a rack and pinion, so the actual wooden model rotates just like the real ride. So it's about capturing that extra detail, which is amazing. And from there, I started going to IAAPA, which is in Orlando, Florida. And I would suggest that anyone that wants to get into the industry do that, because you can meet anyone. It's great for networking. This is me and Chris Gray, one of the partners at Skyline Attractions. I made a coaster cutout of Brava, one of their new installs that year. I got it in color and I gave it to him just as a memento, because he's been kind of like a mini mentor of mine as I've been kind of trying to get into the industry. He's been very positive in just supporting me and being a great motivator. And then on the right here, we got Michael Graham from Gravity Group. He actually started Coaster Dynamics with Jack Reimer. So I always wanted to kind of meet and hang out with him as like, hey, you started this company. He went basically back full time at Gravity Group, but he still has a lot of influence at Coaster Dynamics. So I got to go meet him, and here we are at was it Universal Islands of Adventure, where they have the Velocicoaster, and we have laser cut products of their ride in the park, and we got a picture there. So it was absolutely awesome. But if you go online, everyone says, you got to innovate or die. Innovate or die. And this was said by Peter Drucker, Robert Iger, and a million other people. Like, everyone says it. And it's like, okay, so how do we keep innovating? Well, we're going to take these cutouts and make them in color, because that's what the customer wanted, and we need to find a good way. Originally, we were painting them, but we got away from that. So we went and started UV printing the colors on the wood. And as you can see, this is Banshee at Kings Island. It just pops. It looks spectacular. And what we were able to do is take coaster cutouts started as these glue together wood models. Then they turned into snap together wooden models. And now they are snap together colored models of your favorite ride. And that is really started by just 3D printing models and trying to find a cost effective way to really celebrate the roller coaster ride vehicle and how we can get that to people. And these were the first colored cutouts that went out actually a year and a half ago. So these are very new and very exciting. And these are a couple of memes that were circling around, where it's like, oh, we have a Maverick one, but now you got a Maverick in color. So it's a lot of fun just kind of seeing the reaction. So with all that said, that's kind of like high level what I've done. I just, for the students that are out there, I would just say document and showcase your work, and people will notice. Like, this is 10 years. This is a decade of me just continually doing what I love on the side as a hobby, and people taking notice and saying, hey, can we work together? And then just really showcasing it. So whenever I get asked to do speaking events or like this, just talking on a Teams Zoom call, I will jump at it. I was invited to go to site at OSU and talk about what I do. And I brought the Raptor model. And then here you can see me and my bald head down there, just networking with all the students and other industry professionals, just really trying to, be that mentor that I wish I had when I was in school. Because to my knowledge, when I was at Purdue, TPED wasn't really a thing. I think it got kicked off like right after I graduated. And I wish I had like a network of people, or knew a network of people that were really into the industry. And then I got invited back again, where not only did I bring the Raptor model, but I brought a 12-foot tall vertical loop. And you can see here, it barely fit into the classroom. There's a door next to it. So it was just massive. But because it was so massive, people took notice. They're like, "You brought a giant vertical loop?" And I was like, "Yes." And it's like, that's silly. Why on earth would you do that? And I'm like, because people will talk about it. And that's sure enough what people did, because I got really excited about it. Not only did people get excited, I got an email from Busch Gardens. One of their project managers said, "Hey, we saw your large Raptor loop model you made, and we're impressed, and was wondering if they could do something similar for the Cheetah Hunt Tower." And I was like, "Absolutely, we could do that." So not only did we do Cheetah Hunt, we did an Iron Gwazi model. And the point is I just brought a giant loop, and next thing I know, I'm doing models for Busch Gardens. So the one thing I did learn is that we're not going to go and individually glue pieces of wood for this model, which is similar to the Steel Vengeance. I was able to program and design all the bents to be laser cut, and that's exactly what we did for this model. So on the left here, you can see these are all laser cut bents, and then I was able to glue them on and put them in place for this model, which was a lot easier. And that was the other thing, is like every model I learn exactly what not to do, or learn a better way of doing it to streamline it. So this model was amazing, and it all was because of that loop that I brought. And like I said, they wanted to start with a Cheetah Hunt model, which we also did. So for the Cheetah Hunt model, I did not want to go and design every little cross tie on the track. So I actually developed a program that would automate the track design. And as you can see here, I basically had to, dig out my computer science background of like, okay, it's all patterns. So what's the pattern here? And by just breaking down everything into numbers and what point is brought into the SolidWorks program, I was able to develop a software that would actually design all of the track in an instant. And I developed a macro using kind of just color coordinating the points and then making an application. So that's a lot of code to do a simple task. And it was funny to me, because it's like I could have brute force designed everything in the amount of time it took to program this. But the idea was, well, if I ever have to do models in the future, I have a program that can do it. This is just a video. Let's see if I can play it. It'll show me bringing everything in. I'll actually kind of turn the audio on. I'll kind of explain it so you don't have to listen to me. But the program actually was just a macro that could bring in all the points. As you see, I just click the macro here, and it'll bring in all the points within a matter of seconds. And then right here, you have a skeleton, and that was one click. So very, very exciting that I can just take data from No Limits and then bring it in. Then I do one more click, and then now using weldments, I can then start actually adding 3D features onto this model, right? And look at that, just a couple of seconds, and now you have the cross ties, and then you can see I'm going to do one more click. The camera moves out, but this will actually do the cross tubes. So once I resume here, so essentially you just made the entire track piece in 4 clicks, and then the last one will add the rails to the bottom, and on the top I actually glued in the running surface. But look at that. In a matter of that was like 10 seconds, I have a track piece designed, and then I went through the entire model and did just that. So with just a little bit of innovating, you can design an entire model in a matter of hours, and then design the supports, and then 3D print everything, and then you can get trapped into the display case at Busch Gardens and be, on show with the model. So that just kind of shows, what learnings you can do. Ever since then, I've just been doing a bunch of other crazy models. But the point is showcase your work. People will notice. People will always notice. Do bigger, better, attention-grabbing things, and go from there. So what I've also, learned is, if you do, hand-drawn things, I think the future is innovating with automation. Everyone's talking about AI and how AI can help you. We'll use the AI to automate a lot of the design work. I'm going to go really quick through the next few slides because I know I'm going to be over time soon. But automation, I think, is the future for design, especially when it's like roller coaster models. We wanted to do a model of Gwazi, and we wanted to take it to site. Now, that's a lot of bents to design, and I don't know how I was going to be able to do it. But converting over to Rhino has a plugin called Grasshopper. Grasshopper is a visual programming language, basically just makes it easier to program. And using Rhino, we could design the entire ride in a matter of seconds. This is the 3D model in Rhino of Gwazi. This is the layout. I basically did everything I've learned from Steel Vengeance and Gwazi, automated all of it. So the design was within a matter of hours, and this was the final product here. This is a snippet of one of the Grasshopper programming trees. So it kind of gets a little long, but from there you can get flat planar surfaces. We can take these, we can put them on the laser cutter. You can laser cut the track. You can laser cut the bent. You can use a lot of programming to understand, the position of all of the little bents that we did. And here's the final product. We literally went from an idea of like, hey, we have to go to a site and take a model with us, and we wanted to integrate the Coaster Dynamics working model system on top of laser cut plywood, and we were able to do this within 3 weeks. So we went from nothing to this in 3 weeks of just automating and laser cutting. So and this was just like a for fun project just to show the students of what you can do with automation. So automation is the future. Here's 2 models I literally did within a week, and it was all because of programming with Rhino. And this is Renegade at Valley Fair, and this is White Lightning at Fun Spot. So everyone would look at this and like, wow, that took you so long. I'm like, nope, those took me like 5 days. So future projects, I just want to do more future projects. And then what I've been up to recently, as of literally a few weeks ago, we had 11 new coaster cutouts come out within the Six Flags Cedar Fair organization. They're out now. So we are constantly grinding, constantly coming up with new things. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I hope you learned something. And for the students out there, I hope you take away the one thing of just showcase projects, just get into the weeds on things and just talk about it. Even if it doesn't work out, it just shows that you're willing to be dedicated to what you are really passionate and interested in. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
It was really cool to see your journey and your process and how that evolved. And I believe we got 16 minutes before I think we're supposed to cut off. I have been given questions, but I want to make sure that all the students get a chance to answer their questions before we run out of time. So I want to open the floor up and ask away.
Hey, while we're waiting, really quick, am I still sharing? Like, what does it say? Because I don't know if like my monitor is sharing or not.
No, you're not sharing.
Okay, thank you.
You will. All right, so we got in chat, Brandon. Hi, Matt. Do you see these models continuing mainly as merch and fan engagement, or do you think they could evolve into tools for concept development and pitch decks for parks and design studios?
The answer is yes to both. So I went really quick through a lot of stuff about like my journey, but I've actually had parks. I actually have a meeting later this evening with a park that we all know and love, and they want to find a way to have me prototype some of their ride vehicles. So I basically will say yes to any opportunity that lets me itch the scratch of amusement parks and roller coasters and anything in that realm. So I've done things like from the past 5 years in merchandise, but to involve into actual concept development and pitch tests for parts, I actually have started doing some of those. And when I mentioned that, I did some for Martin Vlemix, and they asked me to do some working models for IAPA. And we were able to make a concept of one of their Sky Spires that was a working model with the ride gondolas going up the tower, and that was at IAPA 2 years ago. So manufacturers are contacting me, parks are contacting me. I don't post much about those on my Instagram and YouTube because I'm under an NDA usually, and they don't want me to talk about it. And they're the customer; they're the ones that are going to be talking about it. So you might not hear much of those projects from me, but they're always ongoing and they're always happening. So I'm actually, like I said, like I'm involved in one of these concept development pitches right now. So I do both. I do for fans and merch when I have time, and then I will work directly with parks and their design and engineering groups.
Awesome. Thank you. Really great. Thank you, Brandon says. Um, any other questions? Don't be shy. All right. So for my interests and the benefit of people watching the video, um, I guess the first question I'm going to ask is, any element of your hobby, and themed entertainment cross over into your day job with doing lighting for cars?
It's a great question. Um, I think in general, no. They're two separate things. Um, there's amusement park industry and there's automotive, but there is one major crossover, and I think that is being creatively curious and just being like, I'd like to say a creative mind more than an engineer. An engineer will tell you a million ways of why you can't do something. A creative person will be like, I want this. I need to find a way. How do I do it? And the beauty is being like an engineering background is okay. I want to have this thing happen. Okay, I think I can reasonably come up with how. And one of the and like that one major crossover did happen because before I've been at General Motors for 4 years and I continue to be there and I love it there. But before I was at GM, I was at Ford. And when I was at Ford, I was in engine design and release. So I was doing engine components like fuel pumps, fuel rails, and fuel lines. And I always wanted to get to work on the vehicle. And I've always struggled with like, well, you're an engine guy. You work under the hood. You wrench on these things. You're not the guy designing the exterior of the vehicle. You're not working with those people. You're the engine guy. Go back to Engine World. And I was like, no, I really want to do it. Well, GM actually had a posting for a job that was an IDE is like integration design engineer. So you work in the studio. I was like, I'll apply. And during the interview, I talked about some of the design work of roller coaster cars that are themed to GMC vehicles, and they loved it because I literally had a coaster cutout of Mystic Timbers that looks like one of their Chevy trucks, or sorry, GMC trucks, maybe Chevy, I don't remember. Someone online will look up what that truck was, but it looks just like it, and they loved it. And I was like, yeah, I made this out of just plainer wood, and they thought that was very creative. So I can leverage that. I have the creative ability and I want to make things happen, but I have the background of being an engineer. So that's like the one major crossover. And it's been very beneficial to me.
Well, that's really interesting. I love, and you hear stories similarly of, people taking their hobbies to such a length that it turns into a career like this, and it's really fascinating to see the crossover and again your journey. It's pretty cool. So I've got
Yeah,
like a
thank you.
million. Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. I've got 9 minutes, and they've emailed me a million questions, so I'm gonna pick my favorites.
Okay, we can rapid fire too. Sorry, my presentation probably went a little longer than you thought.
No, no, no. I mean, yeah, the video, people want to hear you talk, so no, that's perfectly great. I guess the first one we'll start with what sparked your lifelong passion for roller coasters, and how did it evolve from a hobby into founding Print My Ride Detroit while balancing out full-time engineering career at GM?
Great question. So I blame my parents. So every summer, like literally since I was born, like 0 years old, like months old, they would take me to Cedar Point. And I didn't even write anything, but every summer we go to Cedar Point, we go to Kings Island, like and I was like the summer getaway, and I like just naturally was the guy, like the little kid that was like, oh, like knowing the ride stats, like this ride, like Magnum's 200 feet tall, and blah blah blah. Like I knew all of them. To this day, I don't know like any of them because there's so many different rides I'm working on. It's like or like for merchandise at least, it's like I can't keep track of all of them, and I've lost that. But like the little kid in me like knew all the stats. I got all the roller coaster books, I got all the posters, and I just loved it. And then I kind of just always just follow that passion. And then this is maybe where you want to cover your ears as a Purdue person because you're not gonna like this, but when I was at Purdue, they had this honors class where it was roller coaster design dynamics, and it was taught by Jeff Rhodes, and I wanted to get in this class, but since it was this honors class, you had to have like a 3.6 or 3.8 GPA or something, and I didn't have that. I was a little under, and I was like, please, you don't understand. I love roller coasters. I was like, I got to take this class. Like, I got to do it. It later became a tech elective, so anyone could take it. But at the time, like, no, you're not in the honors thing, so you can't take this class. And I was like, oh no, I guess I can't design roller coasters. Not smart enough. And then I kind of hung it up, and I was like, I guess I'll do cars. Like, that's cool, right? I'm from Detroit. Everyone works in automotive here. But then like it's always stuck with me. Like literally, and like I talked about in my presentation, like I always made these models. I just love making models of the rides. And then once 3D printing became mainstream, like I actually got into 3D printing at Purdue. There was ME 444. It's toy design. I love that class. That was my favorite class. You literally design a toy, and you 3D print it. Now that was one of those old SLA printers, like the resin ones, and you only got to do one. But I was like, I got to get me a 3D printer at some point. And then they just started becoming cheap. And this was like, 2010, 2012, which is funny because now I talk to like students who are like, yeah, we have a 3D printer. We have like 20 of them. And it's like, man, I wish I had that. I wish I had that at the time, but I didn't. But now we are. And it's like, now I have the CAD designs. I'm just like, now I can make anything. So that's kind of where it started. And then from there, how I made it into a business is I was like, it was just a hobby. I was just doing it for fun. And then people were like, hey, we'll pay you to do this other stuff. But hey, like Coaster Max, we'll pay you to do some nanos. We'll pay you to do this. Other parks come. It's like, I'm having fun. Everyone gets off work and they're exhausted and like, I'm going to go sit and watch Netflix. I'm like, Dad, I'm just going to CAD design this roller coaster because it's cool. Like, I don't even know what fuels me. Like that's why they always say like, do what you love because you'll never work an hour in your life. I'm like, I'm not working. I'm just kind of putzing around. And then thankfully now I've done it for over 10 years. I can pick and choose which ones excite me. So if I'm not really into it, I'll just be like, no, it's okay. I don't really need this. Like I have a full-time job. I'm happy. Like, but if I'm like, this sounds like fun, I'm going to enjoy doing it. It's not work. I'll just do it when I have free time.
That's awesome. Let's see, 6 minutes. How about themed entertainment as a competitive field? What unique edge do you think 3D printing and custom modeling bring to amusement parks? And have you collaborated with any parks or companies like Coaster Dynamics on real-world applications? I know that you answered part of that. I'm just reading from the script, but yes.
That's quite okay. And yeah, like Busch Gardens has like reached directly out to me to do models for the Coaster Coffee Shop. I started going a little faster near the end there, but yeah. So the Coaster Coffee Shop is at the front of the park, and they just wanted some displays of their rides. So they reached out because they saw that giant loop, and I think it just circled the internet where they're like the Ohio State kids were like, dude, like this Print My Ride guy, he brought this giant loop. We don't know why. He said he was bringing a model, and he showed up with this. But it got the buzz of like, that's crazy and cool. And it's like, no one ever thought to do that. And a lot of the times, like maybe the advice I would give is like, people don't know what they want. And in themed entertainment, there's a lot of great ideas that are not executable. And there's a lot of dreamers that want something. And it's like, well, can you deliver on that? And I think there's a reality there. It's like, well, yeah, like, can you deliver? Like, and then a lot of times is they'll ask, when I say that, like parks might ask for something that you're like, that might be way out of my wheelhouse. Or sometimes you'd be like, no, I don't think we can actually do that. So like it's really, you kind of just learn that, like, or I guess the advice would be like, just go and just find a project, work on the project, document it, showcase it, post it online, post it to your LinkedIn, post it to your Instagram, just talk about it, get into forums, talk about what you work on. People will find out and be like, oh, so-and-so's really good at, making 3D printed models of a ride vehicle. That was like my thing. But then there's other people that like, maybe there's like a nice like flat ride carousel, or I've seen a lot of people doing motion simulators where they're like on, like 3D axes, and they're all Arduino programmed and 3D printed, and they get a lot of attention too. And parks love that because they're trying to do rides like that. So I guess, yeah, it kind of goes back to is like, I see a lot of it. I think I would just say, pick what you enjoy. There's a reason you're in themed entertainment. Maybe it's not even 3D printing. Maybe it's just doing renderings. Maybe you're really good at graphics design. Focus on that. Showcase that. Like, people love posters. People like concept art. Focus on that. Just publish it. Just throw it out there. Who cares if you're not getting paid? Like, I didn't get paid for half the crap I did. Most of the beginning stuff I presented, I didn't get paid. I just did because I wanted to do it. And then I posted about it. I talked about it. A lot of people don't market themselves a lot. If you wanted to get like into freelance work, you're going to have to be an entrepreneur. You're going to have to put every hat on. You can be a great graphics designer, you can be a great 3D printer, you can be a great modeler, but you're gonna have to be a salesman or a saleswoman. You're gonna have to do sales. You have to market. You have to do cost analysis. How much is it gonna cost me? Can I, fund this? Like, you literally have to wear all the hats. I only got noticed because I do a lot of events. Like, I'll go around just talk about a lot of the things I do. There's a lot of people that are better at what I do than me, but you wouldn't know where to find them, how to find them, because they don't document, they don't show it. So that's what I would say about that.
Excellent. And I think we got time for one more question, and I want to give the students an opportunity, if something has caught their attention that they want to ask something before I ask one final question. You have priority. I see no one typing. Okay. All right. So real quick, last question.
Got to make sure it's a good one.
I know. I'm biased. I'm the 3D guy, so I'm going to ask more 3D printing questions.
There we go. Oh, okay. Absolutely. Hit me.
All right. Your models showcase the art of roller coasters, from plywood cutouts to stress relief gadgets. What's one innovation you're most excited about next, and how might it push the boundaries in amusement design?
All right. Well, I don't know about that last part, but I actually have this drop tower here. This is brand spanking new. I have actually had it running in the background. I don't know if you can see it. This is 3D printed. It's run and controlled by an Arduino. It's new and exciting because I just came up with like this prototype last week, and hope to sell variants of it. So this is basically a model of an SNS drop tower. And this would be a quote, like a single shot one. So you'd see like these like type, like there's one at Hershey Park. They call it the triple tower. There's like 3 of them in a row. I'm excited about this because I've always wanted to do a drop tower. I always wanted to make it look right and look cool. And I have a really good 3D printing background. Like, the tower is not the hard part, but I always wanted to like actually drop realistically at the scale of one. And you'd say, well, where is this going? So this is actually just for fun that I would sell on my own website. I'm actually working with Coach Dynamics. I think they want to have some of these. Even SNS reached out, they're like, hey, can we get some of these? So I just came up with this. I'm kind of troubleshooting, like the ins and outs. And if you want, I can share my screen. Like, I have a concept of like where it's going to go. So this is at O scale. But I like to do a smaller version at HO. And I can see if you want to see here.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
share
that'd
my
be
screen
great.
one more
Yeah.
time? I don't want to go over too much. So here we're on SolidWorks. So this is basically the Superman Tower of Power at Six Flags. It's 3 of these, right? And this would be at HO scale. And as you can see, here's the 3 ride vehicles, the carriages. And on the underside, this is how it actually operates. There's 3 stepper motors that are run by a chain gear drive system that's reduced down to get the speed I need. And there's a limit switch. So imagine this is actually like, you can think of this as a 3D printer, like the See Me CNC Delta Towers. It's almost the same thing. You're almost controlling it the same way. So this is kind of like what's new and exciting, where it goes. How does this actually show innovation in the amusement park space? I could not tell you, other than like, I think it's cool and it'd be a great gift for a park that already has some of these. But like I said, I do things that interest me, and this is one I can talk about. There are actually 2 other projects I cannot talk about, unfortunately, that I would probably better answer your question. But that's the other thing that kind of sets me apart than from other professionals within the industry. If you go directly to, like, let's say Universal Creative or Walt Disney Imagineers, they might have reservation talking about what they're currently working on when they could probably tell you tons about what they like the past projects. So when it comes to the future of innovating for the parks, it's really hard to talk about the future because everyone's under these NDAs and whatnot. And so that's why I kind of struggle, where it's like, when it comes to those parks, like I can't really talk about it, right? But when it comes to like what I do and what I think is cool and innovative and exciting, I can talk about what I'm doing with these models. And really, like I said, like, it's working 3D printed model roller coasters. I know this is not a roller coaster; it's a flat ride, but it's still pretty cool. It uses gravity and pneumatics, and I found a way to kind of capture the motion using my knowledge. So, yeah, that's the next exciting thing I've been kind of working on recently.
Yeah, I've noticed it moving behind you this whole time. And
Subliminal
so,
product placement. I actually had it there. I was like, I'll just have it run through the whole meeting and see if anyone even notices.
so how long before the triple tower gets moving like that?
Well, it's designed. I haven't had time to 3D print it yet. I would say give me about another 3 weeks, and you might be seeing some things pop up on my Instagram.
Awesome. Well, Matt, I really appreciate your time. This video is going to be great. We're going to post it to YouTube. Um, and I I really, again, I really appreciate your time, and I know the students are going to enjoy this. So
Absolutely. This has been great. A lot of fun. Like I said, I love talking about what I do. I literally do it for fun. It's a hobby and it's amazing. And I think everyone else should pursue their passions and, just showcase their work.
100%. Yep, I agree. Well, thank you so much. This Josh is hosting, so I have to stay on here and text him to shut this down. But everybody have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
be dialing off. Have a good one.
Have a good one.